Strangers who give you a bad feeling for no apparent reason. Posted by Al Roger. I'm a 28-year-old female. Have you ever felt totally afraid? Like your body tenses up and you feel your stress hormones preparing you to flee when in the company of a random stranger with no apparent threatening characteristics, including subtleties. I'll give you a couple examples. There's a family friend of my parents who has always been completely normal and kind and has never done anything that warranted a fear response in me. However, every time I've seen him, maybe 5 times my whole life, I shiver, feel instantly nauseous, and then a little shameful for the stress it causes me. I always have to exit the room after a minute or so in his presence. He doesn't smell or anything, and I don't have any childhood trauma that could pinpoint this feeling I get. I honestly feel guilty about it. I can't explain it, and I know I must have looked crazy. Over the years, I've had these feelings about other people, both men and women, in a handful of times. Just last year, I got the same icky feeling about a woman I was standing next to on the train. She was in her mid-30s, looked very normal and well, average and plain in every way that I could tell by glancing at her. The point is, she didn't look threatening by any stretch of the imagination. My body reacted with that same nausea, and my immediate psychological reaction was fear, just like it had been several times before with random people. I got off the train and didn't think about it again before I saw her again on the same train months later. It was late, like 1 a.m., and I could have sworn the ugly feeling came over me before I even saw her. I moved carriages away from her when I noticed her nearby me. She did not notice me or even look over. She got off at the last stop and exited the train before turning around and looking straight at me. She smiled. How fucking sinister is that? This was not a typical friendly smile. There were only 3 other people on the train other than me, so I know she was looking right at me. She continued smiling and staring until she was no longer in sight as the train moved away. I panicked and had to steady myself by holding onto the bar while clutching my chest to try to regulate normal breathing. Today, it still makes me shiver. Has anyone had this happen to them before? I really don't ever want to meet anyone else that makes me feel that way again, even though I know it's inevitable. Thoughts? Experiences related to this? Am I overreacting? I'm not normally an over-paranoid person, and 99% of the time, I have perfectly normal and pleasant interactions with others. A warning from nature, posted by anonymous Redditor. My twin sister and I used to hike in the Northern California woods alone as we grew up. It wasn't a big deal then. We knew where we were most of the time and how to get back home from any point on the mountain range. One super cold morning when we were around 10 years old, we woke up before our parents and got dressed to go for a hike. I remember getting as far as the stairs on the deck of our house before I froze. I couldn't speak or move. I looked at my twin, who had gotten as far as the middle of our driveway, and we locked eyes. She read all over my face that I was terrified. I didn't feel anything though. I just knew something was wrong and we were in danger. She bolted back inside and I followed her once she moved past me. Upstairs was a window that faced this big detached garage on our property. We looked up at it without saying a single word to each other the entire time. That's when we saw a giant mountain lion circling the garage. It was in a hunting stance, sort of squatting down and walking very lightly. I think it was hunting our cat, Rascal. Our parents didn't believe us when we told them what happened, but this same reaction happened to me twice more since. One more at the same home, but it was a huge family of deer. The third time, I was in college and a rabid raccoon was sitting outside of my car door at my apartment when I was in the passenger seat. I haven't felt this since. And it's been 15 years, and all 3 times, I never saw a thing. It was all instinct. Always trust your instincts. Barefoot woman carrying a baby, posted by anonymous Redditor. 3 weeks ago, October in Minnesota, I had just started dating my now wife. I was obsessed with working out and asked her if she would like to use one of my guest passes at the YMCA. She begrudgingly agreed, and we started heading to the closest YMCA near her house. We were about a couple miles away from the gym, with my wife driving south on a busy street, when I noticed on the other side of the road heading north, a woman was walking on the sidewalk while holding something. Next to her, driving slowly on the shoulder of the road, was an F-350. The hairs on my neck stood up, and I shuddered after seeing them. My whole body had goosebumps. I told my wife that she needed to do a U-turn so we could see what was going on. We did the U-turn and got behind the F-350. I noticed immediately that the woman was barefoot and holding a baby wrapped in a blanket. I got out of the car and I told my wife to stay in the car and to call the police if anything happened. When I started walking towards the woman, the first thing I noticed was that she was barefoot. With it being October in Minnesota, the temperature was around 50 degrees Fahrenheit, so no one should be walking around without shoes and socks on. When I got closer to her, I saw the baby was only wearing a diaper wrapped in a thin blanket. As I got closer, I could hear the guy in the truck yelling at the woman to please get in the truck. Get in the truck now! I finally reached the woman and asked her if she was okay and if she needed help. She said yes, and that the guy wouldn't leave her alone. Right then, a different woman started jogging past. I forgot my phone in the car, so I asked the woman jogging if she had the cell phone and if she could call the police, which she did immediately. I turned around to face the truck, and I see the man getting out. As he is walking towards us, he is now pleading with the woman to get in his truck with him. I positioned myself between him and the woman, and he stopped when he was about 3 feet away from me. I told him that he wasn't going to come any closer and that the police were on their way. Now, while the guy stopped walking towards us, he completely ignored me and didn't acknowledge what I just said. This is where the story gets a little weird. The two of them start having a conversation that made zero sense, with me standing between them. He said, "Honey, just get in the truck and come home." She said, "You kicked me out and told me to leave." He said, "No, I didn't. I came upstairs and you and the baby were gone." She said, "You never let me leave." Opposite of what she just said. "And never let me do anything and never let me spend any of our money." He said, "We don't have any money. Our credit cards are maxed out. You don't have shoes on and our baby is cold. Please, let's just go home." She yelled, "I'm never coming home with you. You don't let us do anything ever." At this point, 2 police cars showed up with 4 cops. 1 cop spoke with the man, 1 with the woman, and the other 2 cops took statements from both me and the jogger. I'm not sure what took place that day with the couple and the baby. I just stepped in because I had automatically assumed that some sort of abuse was taking place where the woman was trying to escape him. Maybe that was happening, or maybe the woman was having a mental breakdown. I will never know. Either way, one of the strangest 10 minutes of my life. Can you help me find my daughter? Posted by Luna-Constantine. I never thought about sharing my experiences, but since a few people were interested in my last post, I thought I'd share one that still haunts me to this day. It happened last year in October. I was 19 years old and I live in the UK, so around this time of year it gets pretty dark early. I finished college at 3 p.m. and decided to make worth of my college gym membership. So I headed over to the other college building where the gym is and spent about an hour there. So by the time I got out, it was dark. As I left the building, a man approached me, around 6 foot, 45 years old with dark hair with bits of white going through it. This is how the conversation went. Man, do you go to this college? Me, yes. Man, do you know my daughter Samantha? Me, no. There are 4 college buildings. I don't know everyone. Man, she's lost. I called her and I can't find her. Me, you can go to the reception and give her full name and they should be able to tell you her timetable and what time she left. Man, can you help me look for her? Me, no, sorry. Man, it will only take 10 minutes. I don't know this area. Can you just show me where girls like you usually go? Me, no, sorry. I have to go. Just go to the reception right there. Man, okay. At this point, I knew something was wrong, and I knew I shouldn't have interacted with him, but sometimes people are genuine. Anyway, I started walking down the one-way street, which, might I add, only had one lamppost to light it, and I used my phone's reflection to look behind me, and seen this man was nearly running at me. So I started voice recording and sent a voice note to my boyfriend, but acting as if I was on the phone to him. And I did this until I was around other people. And I ran over to my bus stop where I felt a bit safer since other people were there. I put my phone back in my pocket and turned around, seeing the same man staring right at me, as if looks could kill if he were 8 feet under. I turned back around and put my back to the wall, so this way he couldn't go behind me and I could watch his every move, and he kept walking past me. I had missed 4 of my buses at this point because I knew he was trying to see what bus I was getting on, and in the end, he walked off out of sight. And as soon as he did, my bus came, thankfully, and I all but run on and called my mom. My mom was obviously furious and told me she would meet me at the bus stop with a knife in case he had followed me. But thank God for me, he didn't. And thank God for him, he didn't, because he would have either ended up in a hospital or dead with my mom and her blade. Ever since, I have been really anxious going to college and back, since I still go to the same place. I no longer go to that gym, and thankfully the building he's seen me exit from wasn't my own, but he did see my bus stop. And since then, I always have my earphones on really low in case I ever hear walking behind me.